Thank you, Mr Speaker. I rise today to pay tribute and to say thank you to the many hundreds of men and women from the CFS, volunteers, farm fire fighting units, agencies, local councils, the communities of Avenue Range and Lucendale for their tireless work during and following the recent Blackford Fire. The day of the fire, Monday the 11th of January, was extremely hot and windy. Just before 1 p.m. in the afternoon, a fire that's been deemed non-suspicious broke out in the Avenue Range area. The fire was frighteningly close to the scene of last year's devastating Cholera fire, which destroyed more than 25,000 hectares, a home, infrastructure and a great many stock. By mid-afternoon, conditions worsened, fanned by strong winds. The fire front was 32 kilometres long and was just 10 kilometres from Avenue Range and 12 kilometres from the Lucendale township. CFS crews were mobilised from across the state and Victoria. 200 were on the ground, while 6 aircraft set about protecting assets. Over the course of the afternoon, the aerial bombers undertook more than 100 water and retardant drops. The Jackie White Drain, a man-made earthen drain, acted as an effective fire break. Its position north of Avenue, running in a north-westerly direction, meant that when the wind changed, the fire hit the drain, slowing the potential fire front. The CFS have reported that the drain prevented the tripling of the 14,000 hectares eventually impacted. It wasn't for the drain that actually helped. Also, there were centre pivots with green feed, were another barrier to halt the spread of the flames. They helped split the fire in two distinctive fronts before it reached the town of Lucendale. Although the fire came to the very edge of the township of Lucendale, it was well defended by the combined efforts of the ground and aerial firefighting team. The losses associated with the fire are substantial. Heartbreakingly, the fire engulfed the home of Neil and Chris Watts. It was also destroyed the old General Store at Avenue and the historic church and old school building. The fire also burnt countless tonnes of stock feed, sheds, 400 kilometres of fencing, and impacted at least 70 landowners in one way or another. More than 7,500 sheep, as a result, were killed during this fire, and plus I'm led to believe that between 600 and 800 cattle were destroyed on the spot or in the paddocks or in nearby yards, and then another 600 to 1,200 cattle had to be sent to market because they were slightly damaged and could make the trip on a truck and be then slaughtered for some use. Important long-term breeding programs and sheep and stud cattle were impacted. There is no doubt the road to recovery, both mentally and economically, will be a long one. Quick work after the fire by neighbours, staff from PIRSA and local vets helped to dispose and account for the impacted stock. This is a terrible job and one which a farmer should not have to do. I am thankful for the work of neighbours and PIRSA staff who acted so swiftly and humanely. As is typical in rural communities, the response to this disaster has again been extraordinary. Our community is truly generous. In the days following the fire, donations started flooding in, coordinated by the Lions Club and both by the Naracoorte Lucendale Council and the Kingston District Council. All have committed to deliver the services required as the recovery effort gets underway. The Mount Gambier Hay Run, organised by Adam Smith, which last year delivered nearly 70 loads of hay to those affected by the Cholera fire, has continued its good work. On Saturday, the 16th of January, a huge convoy of semis rolled into Lucendale, carrying more than 3,000 bales of donated hay. This support is invaluable in helping impacted landowners. Blaze Aid has also mobilised and has now set up camp at Camp Lucendale, where it will stay for coming months. Teams have now begun removing and rebuilding hundreds of kilometres of damaged fencing. I wish to thank all of those who have or will volunteer for Blaze Aid. A charity auction is being held at the Lucendale Country Club this Saturday night. More than $90,000 worth of goods and services have been donated. The proceeds will go to the families who have been impacted by the fire. Thank you to our volunteers. Over 400 gave up their time to either fight or mop up after the Blackford Fire. Roughly 80% of the land was owned by CFS volunteers. Collectively, they put in many thousands of hours of their time. In closing, this fire, while devastating, could have been much worse. No lives were lost, and I know the spirit of the community will spur on its recovery.